What about Jess about Walking
Yeah.
Dead? Walking Dead has walked away.
It
Well,
it is. It's over. And Jess is the biggest Walking Dead fan that I know. I can't tell you how many times she has dragged me to Sonoya, Georgia,
mm-hmm.
and all the sites, but it's been fun. But now, Jess, you are the queen of the Walking Dead. So
All things must come to an end at some point in life, and we have found ourselves at the end of the Walking Dead show. Now, there are going to be spin-offs, so not completely done, which I'm going to really try to be brief with this because of, time restraints here.
it's not a brief show, though.
No, I mean
We're never
it's
brief with anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
um honestly, I was not as emotional as I thought I would be. And the only thing that I can kind of figure is because there's not a complete closure to this just yet. There is the knowledge of the spin-offs coming. So maybe because I know that there's still a little more story to tell in this universe, that I'm not as yeah I'm yeah, it's different. It's like when a show, it's done and there's not going to be any, or maybe years down the road they will surprise you and like, hey, kind of like what they did, with the Breaking Bad stuff. Breaking Bad ended. A couple of years later, they developed the Better Call Saul series. Nobody knew that was coming, so that was kind of complete surprise. But I guess knowing, like I said, that the spinoffs are coming after this show, I'm not as devastated at the loss yet. But the show started in October of 2010, and here we are now, 2022. We kind of finally see how they end the show. Um, I'm I'm trying to just bear with me as I try to find the correct way of speaking about this. Um, I was expecting a lot more. I'm actually surprised at who lived and who died in the end of the
Mhm.
show. I was actually expecting more death than what we got, and as sad as that is to say, um, but they totally. Yeah, I did. I never read the graphic novels. I got bits and pieces of it. Storylines. I would hear about the storylines in the comics. The last season, they totally diverged. From how it was laid out in the comics, which I guess that's a good thing. They're telling their own. They've got a base here, and they're telling their own stories off of that. So, um, as we know, Rick made it to the very end, and he was killed off in the last episode in the comics. But we know that now Rick, a couple of seasons ago, he's been hauled off by the CRM. And this CRM division was
Customer relations manager.
yeah, yeah. Or see, anyway, Rick has been taken off by this other entity, and this is kind of where the spinoff is going to pick up. And we did get a glimpse of where Rick is, or what is going on with Rick right there at the end of the show. So that's going to spin off into the Rick and Michonne.
Yeah, because
series.
Michonne went off to look for him.
Yes, Michonne went off to look for Rick, and this is where we're going to spin off after Walking Dead is over with. There's supposed to be the Rick Grimes movie that got shelved for a limited series option, which I think that's for the best.
Yeah.
I think that was a smart route for them to go.
Because they were going to do.
Is this a guy that's going to end up in France that you were talking about?
No. Daryl is going to end up in France. Now,
Norman Reedus.
Yes.
He rode his motorcycle across the ocean.
When the Bering Strait freezes, you can just ride over to Russia.
We still don't know how Daryl ends up there. We know that's where, when his spinoff picks up, that's where he's going to be. The show didn't elaborate on the end of how he is getting there. But again, I think it's this whole, there's been all these different bits and pieces thrown off of the main series. We had Fear of the Walking Dead, which I watched the first season of that. I lost interest in that. I
That made it
haven't
more than
watched.
one season?
Yeah, I think it's still going.
Yeah, still
Yeah,
going.
it's still
Really?
that show is still going. Yeah. It just never
Okay.
caught on with me. It never
No.
hooked me. I was interested in it in the beginning because the first episodes were like the day of the fall when everything just
Mm-hmm.
went to crap in the world and
What did it
how
like?
people
Yeah, it was like the West Coast Walking Dead, kind
Mhm.
of like.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of like, okay, the world's falling. Here is what happened the day the world started falling apart.
Hmm.
So that had my interest in the first couple episodes, and then it just became another Walking Dead show with characters I just couldn't. I
Yeah, you
couldn't
weren't invested.
connect with these people. I was so invested in the original series and those characters. I just couldn't take on anybody else, and I couldn't get connected with them. They've done the Walking Dead World Beyond, which is where this unit that Rick has ended up with. I think this is where they've built the base for this. So that will tie into that. And also in that show, there was talk about these variant walkers that have been discovered,
Loki.
and some
Now
of
they're
this
coming in from
research.
other dimensions.
Well, I say this because some of this research they did about these variant walkers, this is where France got brought up. So for whatever reason, Daryl's going to end up in France, and I guess that will kind of tie that in together.
Yeah, and Carol was supposed to be with him for that spinoff, but
Mhm.
Melissa McBride couldn't go to Europe
Yeah.
for some reason
Yeah.
for that length of time. So now it's just going to be Daryl.
And they had to go in and change the ending of The Walking Dead since she was now not going with him to the spinoff show. And their last scene together was very touching, and
That was a good ending.
it was really good the way they ended those two together and their relationship. And a lot of it was not only just the characters, but a lot of it was a lot of true life with them. So they even talked about shooting that scene with each other. And somehow, some way, again, we're gonna have Maggie and Negan in New York. Speculation from what I've heard is that this same people who have Rick are going to be involved somehow. People think that because at this point, at the end of the series, Negan has a wife and a baby on the way, and then Maggie has her son. So the rumor is that somehow they think that they're going to take them somewhere, and then it's going to be Maggie and Negan trying to get to them or rescue them. Now, I don't know how true that is or not. That's just speculation. Yeah. So,
I was happy to see Negan survive. Negan was definitely one of the more intriguing characters. Jeffrey Dean Morgan really played him well.
Oh, he's a good actor.
And what they did with his character arc
is fantastic. Negan was by far my favorite character, probably on the entire show.
The way that they brought him full circle was a very good story that was told. And I, again, won't kind of go into any of that in detail or any spoilers, but those of you that watch the show and have watched it faithfully, then you'll know what I'm talking about, and you'll get what I'm saying when I talk about that. So I feel like that if I just sit here and talk, it's going to be just a lot of rambling on my part, because like I said, there's so much. This is a show that's gone on for 12 years.
Yeah, there's an absolute lot, but I think I bailed out 2 seasons ago, maybe is when I finally gave up.
You started checking out, but you were there because it was on the TV on Sunday nights when we'd sit in the living room together. Because a lot of times it's like you would be like, now what's going on with this guy, and why are they doing this, and who is this again?
Yeah,
and
I definitely took the Cliff Notes version from her.
Yeah, that was like me. I kept watching. I think I checked out from it around the time they got to with Ezekiel and all of them. That's around the time I checked out. Like, I loved the show. I liked it, and it got away from what I enjoyed it. So I was just like,
Yeah.
I think I watched one season after the whole what happened in issue 100 with Glenn and Lucille. I think I watched like maybe one season after that, and I was like, because the thing is I did read the comics up to I think, I don't even remember what issue I went up to, but I was reading them all faithfully.
Yep.
And then of course I was one of the ones that was going, oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We're going to see if the show's going to change it, and it's not going to be. And it was Glenn. Okay, we still did it.
Yeah.
So I was, and then just like in the comics, at least for me, that was like the peak, because everything was from the comics were building up to that point, and then it happened, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. So
they had split the season up this season into two halves.
Yeah, three actually.
Yeah. So this last third, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention during the first third of this last season. The second half, I would ask her back and forth, okay, what's going on? Who's here? But these last few episodes, I finally sat down and watched them with her, because I did invest quite a few years myself, but I think this last season was solid.
Yeah.
They really did a good job with these character arcs and bringing the story to a close for the most part.
Yeah, there was very good closure to those that are not, carrying on into the spinoffs. And like I said, I was really glad to see a lot of the people that I had. It's like, oh, this one's. I was surprised actually about who ended up surviving at the end of it all. Yeah,
which I'm sure they probably saved it for some of them spinoffs, so eventually they can have that random, guest appearance, or if they decide to do like movies or like a little TV movie or something, they still got that character.
Yeah,
in the waiting.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's over. The Walking Dead, the show, The Walking Dead is finished. It is over. It is done.
Is Robert Kirkman still involved? Is he still like writing stuff, or no? Not really.
No.
Okay.
He did, Talking Dead with Chris Hardwick. Their wrap up show after every episode, they did the finale. Robert Kirkman wasn't even on there.
Yeah.
I was very surprised that he didn't show up. Andrew Lincoln was not able to be on there as well, but he did send in a video. He was, I guess, at his house and dressed in a tux playing the piano or something, and turned around and, oh, sorry, it can't be there.
Yeah.
Because he's
I mean, with Kirkman, it's probably a lot like Seth MacFarlane with Family Guy. He just kind of shows up and phones in his lines, or just like records his lines, and he really doesn't talk about the show much anymore. Because I know Kirkman he's probably got his eyes on like Invincible season 2 now.
Yeah,
because I know that's the big thing for him is getting that one going too. So
yeah.
But they ended it. We went over to Sonoya a few weeks ago, and they had the walls torn down around Alexandria, and the houses that are in that those set houses are now up for sale as actually living quarters.
Yeah.
They're expensive, as you would imagine, because hey, Screen Use House. Come get it.
Airbnbs.
Yeah. So it looks completely different over there now, but
they've taken two pieces of the wall, because Alexandria basically became at one point, so the Commonwealth, this big community that was part of the last season that everybody was involved with, the Commonwealth went and took over Alexandria and Hilltop and Oceanside, the other outlying communities that were part of the Walking Dead universe, and they turned Alexandria into an outpost, actually a kind of a prisoner type camp that everybody kind of ended up back at that point in the last season. So they've taken two of the pieces of the walls that have the outpost symbol, or the design for the outpost on it, and they've put it up there in Sonoy. So there's a lot of people that are now, when they're going down there to tour, they're getting pictures, in front of the wall and everything that they've set up, which is good. That little town benefited greatly from this show. It's a beautiful town. I love going. I love seeing. I love to go and visit, see there, eat at Nick and Norman. So,
oh yeah, hands down, that's a great restaurant. Bo, you would probably appreciate the last episode where they had pieces of the wall on it where the names written on, like it reminded you of on the Normandy and Mass Effect when they've got the wall of names for those who have gone on before.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. That's one thing that I took away from that. I was like, oh, it's like Mass Effect. Everybody who had
that's cool.
All their people who have died, and they had an in memoriam wall.
I didn't watch. Like I said, I didn't watch. Of course, like I said, I didn't watch it. But like I saw, like I don't think it was the day after it aired. I saw where Rick Grimes was trending. I was like, well, I'll be darned. They brought
Yeah.
him back. And then like I saw a clip on Twitter. I was like, okay, that's cool. I
Yeah.
saw that part
Yeah.
at least. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Gives you some closure there, whether if they do anything or that or not. But I'll have to look for that too. I'm very curious about that.
Yeah, they Rick and Michonne did make it into the final episode as a setup for their spinoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they set up Daryl's spinoff, and they set up Rick and Michonne,
Maggie and Negan.
Negan.
Yeah, they talked about all this they talked about this on the Talking Dead finale. Now they have already they've already finished wrapping up the shooting for what is going to be known as City of the Dead with Maggie and Negan.
Okay.
They're still in the filming process with Norman's show. So they didn't have, they gave you that little teaser of Maggie and Negan's setup, but doesn't really have nothing going on with Daryl other than just still photos.
Yeah, but on Talking Dead, the still photos, it shows Norman Reedus with a horse.
Yeah, he's got a horse and buggy.
And they were also, what's the context of this? And Norman was like, I felt horrible because they had apparently they didn't show the shot, but apparently close to where they were filming with this horse and buggy, there is a wall of spikes. They're fake spikes, bendable, no harm, no foul. Apparently Norman scared the horse or something, and the horse ran smack into the spikes, like for real.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, the horse is fine, but believe me, it was a horrible thing to see, a horse just careening towards these big spikes on a wall. He's like, the horse is fine, but it was a sight to see.
But at the risk of me just repeating and trying to go over all this, it's just like I said, it's over, it's done. This chapter in my life is closed as of now, so we'll see where the spinoffs take us,
and depending on what time they air, we might be dead or done with Walking Dead on Sunday nights.
Yeah.
Is it all going to be on AMC? Are all these spinoffs going to be on AMC?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I love this show. This show has had my heart from the get-go. I stayed faithful to it up to the very end. So I am I feel I have accomplished something in this area.
Yeah, and our good friends Chase and boy, what am I?
Oh,
Katie. I'm so sorry, Katie.
Sorry, Katie.
Katie, listen, I'm so sorry, Katie. I had a senior moment. Chase and Katie went over to was it in Sonoy that they went over to where they auctioned off a bunch of the screen use?
Well, it wasn't in Sonoy. I forget which city actually it was, but yes, they had the opportunity to go to the estate sale that I wish of all estate sales that I could have ever attended. They had a huge sale of props and furniture, and
Chase walked away with some like armor from the show, and Katie wound up with a backpack
that had actually the name Katie on it, Katy. It was the backpack of a character's daughter. The episode is still when Morgan was on there. Oh gosh, I just went totally blank on the name of that episode. But anyway,
so see, Katie's not just me.
Yeah,
sorry.
There's a lot, but
just a lot of things you're talking about. It's like, well, wait, Morgan's not on there anymore. Okay, cool.
No, Morgan's
on Fear the Walking Dead.
Well, he was. I don't think he's on there anymore.
Well, poor Lenny. Sorry.
I think I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't keep up with that show.
Spoilers.
I don't know.
We can't say for sure.
But yeah, this sale. Oh, I wish I could have attended that. They even had Katie had sent me a picture. They had the coffin that Daryl laid in when him and Beth were holed up in the funeral home that time. Yeah, it was like, and they made sure they noted that he laid in this coffin. I mean, they only wanted like $5,000 for the coffin, but
that's actually a normal price, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank God you can get it as a discount and actually use it for your coffin. I mean,
but I think Katie told me she actually knew the person that ended up with it.
That's cool.
That ended up getting the coffin. So yeah, that was a sale I wish I could have been a part of.
Yeah.
But I mean, anything you can think of, they used in the show, they were selling it off.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's really cool. A lot of the furniture and stuff out of the houses. And so, well,
I'm gonna stop talking because I could keep going.
I could keep going.
I could keep going. It's tough for me to rein this in. I need all y'all to understand that.
Yeah, but she did a good job. And
Thanks.
if you get a chance to go back and if you're curious as to how it all ended, it ended well.
Mhm.
And they, like I said, the last season they really knocked out of the park.
Yeah.
Really good job. So
kudos to everyone involved.
Yep.
Jess, you're doing a lot better than me than when I ramble about Star Wars. So good job.
I'm very I promise I work on this. I try to be very mindful of these things. So
she does.
Yeah.
She does.